Good afternoon, good morning, or whatever it is where you are. Good night, even. I'm making this video kind of to show how easy it is to get overrun and overwhelmed. You've probably just seen my video showing my first ever allotment planting. But while I've been kind of preparing for that and preparing what you can see behind me in the greenhouse and around me in the greenhouse, and you might have seen me talk about the little update on the stuff that's in here. Whilst I've been doing that and going to my plot, I have let my garden slip, and it's so strange how quickly that can happen. Like, it's been literally 2, maybe 3 weeks, but in that period it's got really hot, as you'll have noticed, and there's been a couple of days where it's rained, and that is when, and you'll understand this yourself I'm sure, things that you don't want to grow just go. It's alright, the stuff that you want to grow, that you put outside. I wish some of this was outside in this weather, because it would have had a spurt with the right nutrients and the right temperature and the right sunshine, etc, etc. But the areas that have become overgrown for me are, there's an area, if you saw my greenhouse installation video, you would have seen the area behind it that I cleared just before it. I'm not going to move, because part of the reason that I've got into this situation is because I've hurt my foot quite badly and I can't even put a shoe on, which is why when you have to take a little break for whatever reason, you come back and look at what you've got, and it can be, but you've got to crack on. So if I show you the area behind my greenhouse now, you'll see that it has grown up pretty quickly, right the way along actually, and then it goes the other way as well. I don't know if you can see that way as well, but this has probably in the last, again, couple of weeks just become, and I've only sort of noticed it now, but you can see they're all kind of fresh shoots if you look properly, and then you've got the darker green shoots and the wooden shoots that the old ones that I'd cut back last year, and it wasn't growing previously because it was so cold. And believe it or not, and this is the power, I think you've probably heard me say, if you watch my channel, you've heard me talk about the power of nature, and if you don't watch my channel, please like and subscribe. I always forget to say that, but this is the power of nature. A couple of weeks, and this area that I used last year, I planted tomatoes in, and I will plant tomatoes in stuff in here again, a load of tomatoes. I can't remember what else I planted in here, maybe cucumbers. Looks like just a bush, to be fair, and it's a lot to get rid of that. It's going to take a lot of work. So the other reason, other than my bad foot for being a little bit overwhelmed, I need to cut the grass as well, crikey, is that there's a few things I've tried to do. One, I've got beans in the ground, which I don't know why they're so far behind. Normally I take them up with beans on, harvest the beans and turn over the ground and plant tomatoes or whatever I'm going to plant in that space. There isn't a single bean, and I planted them at the same time, so maybe it's the way the weather's been. I normally plant them in December or end of January, and by now I've got a crop of beans. They did take ages to come up though, literally weeks to come up, which isn't normally the case. They normally, about to the point where I thought they wouldn't come up at all. I'll show you that. And then also I've left some kale to go to flower in the bed next to it, which I'll show you in a sec. And I think there's a broccoli in there as well, and again it's taken longer than I thought it would. So if I pop out there and show you where I am, let's do that now. So these are my broad beans. The bed needs a weed, yes I know. Well, this is all part of the, look at that behind there, all the way across. The bed needs a weed, I know, but these are my broad beans, which are normally at the point where I'm thinking I need to take them out of the ground and harvest the beans off them, so I can put my tomatoes in. And then in the bed next to it, I have my kale that is fairly well gone to seed here. So you can see they flower up, and then those pods, when they're dried out, contain the seeds that I'll be planting next year. And then my broccoli, that is going to seed. It's this fella that's fallen over. I knew he was out here somewhere, but this is broccoli, and you can see these are the guys that are going to turn into seed pods, grow out and turn into seed pods. I don't think I've got any. No, I haven't got any on here yet. So I've kind of taken the executive decision that I'm going to buy some kale seeds. And I don't know whether I'm going to lose my crop of beans. I'm going to weed this bed. And I'm going to... there might be some kale seeds in here. So I'll try my best to save what I can. But I need to, just for my own sanity, I need to clear these areas out. I need to weed that. I need to just get rid of this and rake it over, because I've got tomatoes that are ready to plant. And then my little onion bed here, in terms of, this is terrible. It's almost embarrassing, but it is what it is. My little onion bed here, you can see the weeds that have grown up and the grass that's grown up beside it. Simply because I would have cut my grass by now, but you see my foot, I can't even put my shoe on properly because it's swollen up quite badly. So because of that, I haven't done my first grass cut of the year. I'd be on my second or third by now normally, but that's the reason. But I've taken the executive decision that this is just too much, so I need to get rid of those bits and clear out the beds, and for the sake of it, just make things look a bit better and neater. So that's what I'm going to do. Come along for the ride. Like and subscribe as well. Oh, I'm over here. Far from finished, but my memory card got full up, which is why there was a glitch in that, what do you call them things? Fast forward thingy, whatever you call it, time lapse thingy. But I'm going to run out of time because I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this today. However, you can see what a difference the weeding makes. I think actually I'm going to pull these beans up though, unfortunately, because we are now 27th of April in terms of when I'm filming this, and they end of May they've got to go at the latest for my summer crops. So I might just make the executive decision. You've just got a few beans forming here, look. I'm not sure what's happened. I probably didn't fertilise them as much as I would because they came up so late. I don't know the answer to that. But I am gonna, because the aim of the game is to grow food, so I'm gonna start putting tomatoes in here today. And I think I've got a couple that I can plant. So I might. You could probably stick around for that. But other than that, I'm not going to do a great deal. Because tomorrow I'm going to strim around the edges of all these when I get a chance to get my strimmer out and start on that. Because it's going to take days. So I'll start on that and limp my way through it. Right, so I'm going to get, I don't even know if you can see me, I'm going to get these a couple of these tomato plants into the ground just so that I can get them in and give them a feed, give them a drink. They haven't been getting enough water in the greenhouse, just because you can see the state of them. There's one of them here. I do water every day, but they dry out fairly quickly in terms of the leaves, so I need to get them in the ground so that they can just spread out and grow basically. So that was part of the reason for clearing this bed of the kale, even though that was planted in there for seed and the broccoli. So I'm going to crack on and get these in the ground, and I'll just tidy up everything else after. Like I say, I'm going to strim around the edges of my beds, tidy the edges up. I'm going to plant these, but I will stake them fairly quickly. I'll stake them tomorrow, probably. There's so many slugs and snails where I am at the moment because of how I've let it go. I have to go over there, mate. See ya. Yeah, I'll stake them tomorrow because I don't want the roots to grow out and stake through the roots. So I can also means I can stake pretty close to the plant itself. So that's not a bad root system, if you can see there down to the bottom. I actually thought there'd be more in there, but I think it's it's the quality of my compost and all this peat-free stuff that doesn't retain the moisture very well is a bit of a problem, really, because the plants dry out so quickly. So you think you've given them a good drink. I'm actually going to plant them a bit deeper than that. You think you've given them a good drink and you should be able to leave them for a day or so. I was watering these every day, without fail, every day. I was watering these babies, but I think when they're in the ground, which will retain a bit more moisture, they won't need so much water. It's not the watering that's the issue, it's the drying out that's the issue. I don't want them to dry out the way they are. They are pretty sturdy plants, tomatoes, and they do survive, in my experience, fairly well. But they're obviously susceptible to diseases and what have you. But I'd like to get these in the ground. I put about a shovel width in between each one, because you think, I tell you, they do look, when you first pot out these tomatoes, or when I do anyway, they do look tiny in the ground. And you wonder, every year I wonder whether they'll survive. But they don't half go some and grow tomato plants, as you know, if you plant them. Sensible enough root system again. Make sure I give enough depth here. I'm putting 3 in this row currently. I might squeeze a 4th one in. That'll give me 9 in total when I'm done. I've got some smaller ones that aren't ready to go out yet. That'll give me 9 tomato plants in total, which is about what I normally plant, which is enough. If I end up with 12, I'm happy. If I end up with more, I'm happy. Tomatoes is one of the things that it's actually my favourite thing to grow, actually, because I make so many things from them. Soups. Make some fantastic soups with tomatoes. You bung them in the oven and roast them to bring out the sweetness. Some fantastic tomato soups. I make hot pepper sauce. Although my chilies are gone. So I don't know if I'll be doing that with them as well. And I also make tomato sauce or pasta, whatever you want to call it. I use it as sauce as well as the base for a pasta or whatever else I might be cooking. And I might show you how I do that at some point in the future when I harvest these tomatoes, if I get a good harvest. Again, nice, lovely root system on those. I am a little bit conscious of the leaves touching the soil. So when I water these initially, I will just water right at the base. I know people say you should do that always with tomatoes. Water at the base gently so that the water doesn't splash up onto the leaves and spread any diseases that are in the air. But I'll be honest, I do get a bit lazy. You do, don't you? You've got loads to do. It's 7 o'clock at night and you realise you haven't watered your garden. You haven't got time to go and water the base of 12, 16 tomato plants. So I know already that I won't be perfect. Now, I won't initially water them too much. This guy's probably a bit too close together, but it is what it is at this point. Because I've got bad foot and it's starting to hurt. I'll give him a quick drink now, but I won't over water initially. I want them to sort of search out water, you know, get their roots out there trying to find water, so that they establish themselves and get stronger. So I'll give them a quick drink now because they look like they need one, and you'll see how I try not to water over, just at the root or the base, and gently as well. Give them just a little tinkle at the base like this, nothing too strenuous. A little bit of patience, and nothing that is going to splash loads of water up onto the leaves that you've got. These will raise up off the floor in the next day or so. Once they've had a drink, they'll raise up, and then when my plant starts to grow, they'll raise up even more. So I'm not too concerned, but I don't like to have my plants with leaves that are permanently on the floor. I'll pick those off, as you'll see when I'm pruning them. Hey, just calm down. Just take it easy. Ooh. I can't remember if I've got a before picture of what was here before I did this little bit of work, but if I have, I'll show you the before picture right about now, and then I'll show you an after picture after I've finished watering, and that will be the end of that. That's a good enough drink for these chaps. I won't feed them yet, but in a couple of days I'll water them with some tomato feed, so that they can crack on. But at the moment I just want them to establish themselves as such. See you later.